Hey,
Mr. Claus, how are you today?
Oh, I'm all bundled up.
Yeah, you got your
cuffs there.
You got a little elf running around somewhere there.
This is my bathrobe, and it's a little cold here this morning, and I'm not used to it. And I know it's a silly robe, but it is extremely warm and comfortable. And I got it during Christmas time, and I guess I chose red. So this is where we're at right now.
Okay, all right. I am a man of practicality, so hey, why if it can work in one season when everybody sees it, why not all the other seasons when nobody sees it, right?
Well, I do still have my Christmas stuff up, my decorations up. We just haven't gotten around to taking care of that.
How long does that last in the
about May.
Yeah, right.
Time period. Now I think it'll come down next weekend because I have a packed weekend this weekend, and so I think it'll stay up until I guess what is it? The 18th, I think, is the day that we gotta.
The 42 Days of Christmas. It's a very popular song. Everybody knows
it. We just don't have the time. I mean, I guess we could do it at night. It's like a day-long project, though.
Right.
So, but I don't care. We'll keep it up. It's a festive feeling around here, around the Arner Watts household.
That's right. At the Enclave. That's good. Well, how have you been doing, man?
I've been stressed.
The
beginning of the year is stressful. And I think that's kind of where our topic comes from today.
Look at this. We're going to Alaska today, man. I like that.
Hey, yeah, look at this. All right, Alaska.
It's not quite international, but distance-wise, we could chalk it up, right?
I know. I feel strange saying that I'm cold when I'm talking to somebody in Minnesota and Alaska. I'm in Florida, so but it's about 34 degrees. I'm looking across the street. There's frost on the roof of the house. I think that's frost anyway.
Yeah, that's what they call that.
Yeah, I guess so.
You got two options. If it's white and cold, you got two options.
So yeah, welcome everybody. This is great. How about you? What was how's your week been?
I've been baptized in the fire of car wash disasters, man. I didn't know that. I've learned a lot this week. We'll put it that way. So
that's a good spin on it, huh?
Well, I was telling somebody yesterday, sometimes people take this sort of response, like there's this new word or this new label they call things like toxic positivity, which you can lie to yourself. That probably is. But what did I think? Some money revenue producing thing that somebody else sold that I know nothing about wasn't going to come with challenges. So, right. I mean,
right. Yes.
I had enough, I guess, foresight. Ask me in 6 months if I had enough. I had foresight. I don't know if I had enough, but I had foresight where I financed extra because I knew I would have operating costs. I knew I would have things that I didn't understand, equipment failures. I've been in restaurants long enough to know that, a variety of equipment, things have shelf lives, things happen. And so I'd put extra money into the budget and the plans. I hadn't intended to use it this quickly. I'll say that, but the powder is still sort of dry, so to speak, but these things are going to happen. And I've learned them now. The boiler pilot goes out. Okay. What do I do in that case? All right. Well, I had to learn it. I didn't know it. And, somebody else decided that they would wash their commercial paint operation, all their buckets into my drain, which clogged all my drains. and flooded one of my bays, which a flooded bay when it's 12 degrees outside.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes you want to strangle somebody. And
Yeah.
you can pay Roto-Rooter. And the other thing is, once these contractors hear that you're the commercial operation, well, the price is just, you got commercial money. So you could pay Roto-Rooter $500-600, or I don't know the brand. I actually didn't quote them. I've used them in the past in restaurants. I don't know what they would charge, but and I'm guessing it's in the ballpark of $500-600 to industrial jet your drains, or you can learn how to do it yourself. I do have 4 pressure washing pumps, and they could kick out some pressure and blast open some drains. But I did have to learn how to do that and change the hoses and then fish through muddy, oily, salty water, Minnesota winter mud. Not quite Andy Dufresne. I didn't go, 400 yards through it with the lightning striking all around me, but it was pretty gross. And but when it popped open, you're like, yes, I figured it out. I know where I learned where the drain was. I learned how the plumbing interacts and hooks to each other in there. The big problem was Tuesday, the boiler.
So you had a clog. Which clog? When was the clog?
Clog was about a week ago. Matter of fact, it might have been exactly a week ago. And from the clog, everything went downhill from there.
How did you find out about the clog? Like,
I walked in and the bay was flooded. It was 6 inches of water.
Do you have cameras installed?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have cameras. So, but it didn't show up on the cameras. You just went in and it was
grayish muddy water looks mighty similar to concrete on the camera. In retrospect, I probably could have looked closer and anticipated it, but no, I walked in and it was that way. So
it was a commercial company that dumped paint down
they cleaned their latex paint buckets into my drains, and lots of them. And I never even, what stuck out to me, and it was the cameras of how I found them. What stuck out to me was I never seen them before. They look like 5-gallon buckets, but they're like 2 or 3 times as tall. I was like, that's a bucket. And I remember seeing it on the camera.
That's a bucket.
Well, and because I have signs in there that say no bucket washing. Now it's primarily because if you want the space, you got to pay for it. How you pay for it is you put quarters in the machine. Don't come there and bring your own Dawn soap and wash your car in my car wash. That's not what you do. So
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Turns out no bucket washing would apply to don't wash your toxic chemicals that you wouldn't get near your own home in my place. So
how do you prevent this in the future? Just more signs?
More signs, mostly threatening Adam flexes and harsh words of shame and retribution.
Yeah. I mean, can you find these people that?
I feel like we're in an episode of The Big Lebowski here. Can we get these people? Who are these people, man? They peed on my car wash, man. Yeah, I can. I could go to the security and get their license plate and figure it out.
But you're not. It's not at that point yet.
I just haven't gotten. I mean. I don't know that there's actually, it's not like I would like to have a civil conversation with them. I'm not trying to make something criminal.
Yeah, sure.
They can't do this, but no, probably more directed signs. Read this before using this car wash.
Yeah.
Because I did talk to the previous owner. He said that there's some drywall and sheetrock guys that used to do the same thing, and they would clog up his drains with the mud.
Oh, okay. And then the boiler light went out. What is this thing that happened?
All right. Here's what happened. Here's what as I've pieced it together, knowing all that I know now. I want to look like that picture in American Gothic with me with a pitchfork in front of Hometown Shine. That's exactly right. Have you seen those commercials, the Airbnb commercials, the Verbo commercials with Nick Saban, where he's like,
Yeah, you can't do this.
Can't do that. I want to be standing there, like have like glasses on my nose when they drive in. It's a rule. You can't do that. This isn't a spa. So, all right, Joe. Here's what I've learned, and this is the encapsulation of everything I learned. When I had to run that extra hose, I had to change some hoses. So I ran the hose. I'm snaking it out while it's blasting water. Bust open the drain. Success. Adam goes, resets everything back the way that it was. In the wintertime, there is, in cold climates, Joe, which you might not be familiar with, regardless of your robe, if you have a water drip, the flowing water will keep the pipe from freezing. And you don't want the pipe to freeze because the ice expands and it'll bust your pipes.
Okay, yeah.
And the car wash has drips that are connected to the hot water supply. So I'm dripping hot water. So even if somebody leaves a door open or smashes a window and it's cold all the time, the drip will go. Okay. The drip came from that hose that I disconnected and reconnected. And I forgot to open the drip valves back. They have smaller valves down for each hose.
You need a checklist, Adam.
Yeah, I do, but I don't know what needs to go on that checklist. That's my problem. Yeah. Believe it or not, I have an AI bot that I'm programming with. Hey, here are all the things that I do, and I make notes. I want to do this once a month. I want to do this daily. I want to do this once a week. And then I'll tell it to put together a process systems checklist for me. What happened after that drain was the very next day I go down there and all the wands are frozen because I didn't put the drip on it. So the bays might get to, 30 degrees or something, but they froze. So then what do? I go I rent a propane heater, like an industrial 120,000 BTU industrial heater.
Okay. To
thaw this thing out. I get it thawed out. I got my doors closed. We're warming everything up. I'm cooking with, whatever I'm cooking with, propane. I test all my wands. There's pressure. We're open. All right, get open. We're good. At that point, I'm mad. I've had a day of flooding that I couldn't open on. And the next day I had a day of frozen pressure wash, and it's off. Fine. That's Friday. Head into Saturday or Monday, and everything is frozen again, including the pump room and the boiler room.
Why?
Now, and then I had to get a pro out there to give me a reset code. And then it's fun. Like, we expect somebody to be an expert on every brand of every machinery of everything that they do. But the guy installed it. So I would have hoped you'd know. I wasn't that pleased with the guy that came out, but I did learn a few things from him. And through various experiments and isolating various variables and talking to the people at the company, what changed? What'd you do different? How did things change? The fumes from the propane heater disrupted the oxygen sensor on the natural gas boiler that has a very sensitive safety mechanism. If it went into safety lockdown mode because of the fumes from the propane.
Okay.
I don't know any of this. I ain't done any of that. That's 5-6 days of figuring it out, of no revenue.
You wouldn't even think of that.
Like, no.
There's no person on earth that would go, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. But there's no person in your position, I think, would think through all of that. Right. And go, that's what happened. That's going to happen.
Oh, man. This guy, these are the people. Troy is a good guy here, for the record. Yeah, somebody was changing their oil at the car wash with no oil pan. Like, anyway, so I have very prominent cameras. I'm just going to increase the wording on the signs of, look, no, now I'm going to have to add that, Troy. Thank you. Don't change your oil here. Don't clean your commercial paint opera. Like, I almost want to make it so ludicrous that it becomes funny, I know that 99.99% of you don't need to read this, but for the 3 of you that do, don't change your oil here. Don't clean your commercial paint operation here, and don't dump sheetrock down my drains. Otherwise, I have to raise prices for the rest of these people because you're costing me money, and I'll seek restitution from you. Like, I'm going to have to come up with like a funny like way to put that so I don't just sound like, you know.
Yeah, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Right. Yeah.
At Hometown Shine.
So anyhow, that's been it. But hey, we so leading into a little bit of today's topic, I learned things. I had to get some creative, and I had to find some answers. So all in all, if I'm going to lose a little bit of revenue in January when it's in single digits and the service call cost me $120, but now I know how to run the drains, unclog the drains, reset the boiler, and I understand the chain of events, and I now have temperature sensors all over it that will set me on an alarm if it even gets close to beginning to freeze.
Okay.
Not bad.
You installed those sensors?
Oh, they're all there. Yeah, they're the same ones I use in the reptile room, man. It's all,
Okay.
I got my dashboard. I could tell you 8 temperatures and 8 humidities of 8 different locations between my rodents, snakes, and the car wash now.
Well, that's great. I mean, I guess with all of this stuff, you come out of it the other side and you go, okay, now I'm more prepared. I know what's going on. I know what's important. I know the priorities. Like, I'm sure you were planning on doing those sensors at some point, right?
Yeah, I needed did you is there a different one thing, or is your one thing that you're wearing a robe in Florida today? Because I feel like now we're getting into the full like stress creativity continuum here of the episode. So I don't want to leave you in the dust here.
I had a one thing. My one thing was I actually listened to you. It's
a terrible decision.
I listened to you, and the thing that you wanted to do, one of the things that you wanted to do was explore more, like get out more, go to Minneapolis, it reminded me of all the things that I used to do. And when I was a bit younger, like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe it's the pandemic that kept me inside. I don't know. I haven't explored as much as I usually do in the past. And I haven't gotten out as much. We kind of stay in my area and things like that. So on Saturday night, Chelsea and me and Aiden, we just went downtown and we walked around. We went to all of these different places. It was something that we used to do a long time ago, and it was a blast. And it was so much fun. It was great. We walked and explored and just walked all over Tampa. It was really fantastic. So that's one thing. And then we're going to continue.
Did you have dinner out? Did you bar hop a little bit? Are you able to stroll? Are you able to stroll with a beverage, or you can't do that in Tampa?
You actually, there's something called Fisherman's Wharf or Sparkman's Wharf or something like that. Yeah, Sparkman's Wharf. And that's like a big, it's really kind of built up in recent years, and it's like crates, and you go and you buy, food at the crate, at these little crate areas. And then you can have like beers and stuff like that. So I had a beer there. We got some, Aiden really loves like fish and chips. So we kind of went on like a fish and chips kind of
nice
thing where we tried a whole different a bunch of them. We walked over to another place by Amalie Arena. And then we ended up like late night at this Italian restaurant. And so we went all over and we were able to walk around. It was great. It was fantastic.
Did you go by 4 Green Fields if you're on the hunt for fish and chips?
4 Green Fields. Well, the old location is closed, actually. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. But there is a location.
They had the new one, like the industrial area one.
Yeah, it's actually by Curtis Hickson Park. It's like it's on the Riverwalk, but we didn't go there. We tried to get into this place called Hat Tricks, which is like it's like an Irish bar, but it's like it's right by Amalie Arena, so it's like hockey. It's like has a lot of hockey stuff in there, and it was too crazy. It was too crowded. We couldn't get in, so so we left there. But it was great. But we're continuing that this next week, and we're going to go see Steve Martin Short on Friday night, which is really
that's right up your alley, man.
Yes.
Tune up the banjo, huh?
Yeah, it's fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So that'll be Friday night, and I've seen them before, and it was actually this thing that I went. Probably the time that I remember most is I went to Providence, Rhode Island. So I have like two buddies, one in Houston and one in Boston. And we used to do this thing where we would meet in a city every year, like a city that we didn't really
perfect. Yeah.
Want to go, like our significant others wouldn't want to go there. So, so it's not like we went to exotic places. We went to like Cincinnati and Kansas City,
the dive bars of towns.
Right. Yeah. And so we'd go and we'd hang out there for the weekend. And one time we went to Providence, Rhode Island.
Cool town, right?
It was a great town.
Providence is a great town, man.
Love it. And there was a gala that was there, and that was being held that weekend and the benefit was for the theater downtown, like this old theater downtown Providence. And the gala performance was Steve and Marty.
Oh, cool.
So me and my buddies, we got dressed up as the Three Amigos.
Oh, right. Really I recollect now. Yeah.
And I don't know. Have I told the story on the?
You did, but we've done a lot of episodes now. You should see it through at this point.
So we get there, and there's like a party beforehand. And so we have a few gin and gingers, so we're feeling good. And we're sitting in the fourth row of this theater dressed as the Three Amigos. And they do this thing where they go, oh, we met during the Three Amigos. And Steve Martin comes out and he brings us all up on stage, and they have us sing the Three Amigos song. And it was wild.
Did you have to do the early Macarena dance thing? Yeah,
all of that stuff. I was starstruck, and I don't usually get tongue tied, but I was like, I can't believe that Martin Short. He's like one of my favorite people on the planet, and he's right there, and he's asking me questions, and I can't remember. Like he said, "What's your name?" And I said, and he said, "Are you sure?" And I was able to get one joke out. I made them both laugh. That was like that was great.
There you go. That's it. Quit at that point. Yeah, you're done.
And then there was a big party afterwards, and I met like the mayor. We met the mayor. We met the police commissioner. We had
still dressed as the amigo.
Yes.
So are you gonna continue the cosplay tradition this weekend then?
Well, I don't know. So like when the three of us went, we were like, we have to stick together.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, we're just two or one guy dressed as, and it doesn't make sense. And immediately, my one friend just left and like hung out with other people during the party afterwards. So me and my other friend, we were just the two.
They have amigos. Solo characters. You could be like the jerk or something.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You could have those weird glasses that make him cross-eyed or whatever. I probably can't say cross-eyed anymore, but you know what I'm talking about.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, Jay, my one friend Jay, he was like, well, if you don't wear the Amigos costume, you're a coward. So he's challenging me.
The one amigo? Yeah.
Amigo, yeah. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to go and enjoy myself.
You could make Chelsea and Aiden dress up as the other two amigos. Paint a little mustache on Chelsea.
I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm also going home this next weekend, going to Pennsylvania this
Oh, you
next
picked the
weekend.
finest time of the year, huh? Oh, are you doing a Phillies? Are you Eagles game now?
No,
No?
actually, it's a it's a funeral for a buddy of mine who passed away a
Sorry,
few months ago.
always the sensitive Adam. My condolences, man. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. It was a few months ago, and we we kind of knew it was coming. So he was just a great guy, and I'm gonna go up there. It's just an overnight trip. I'm going for the memorial, then I'm heading back. Yeah. So that'll be this weekend. So it's just like a packed weekend.
That is a packed weekend. Yeah. Steve Martin. They could just call their show Steve Martin Short and have everything covered. Save 25% on printing costs.
Yes,
I just realized that. Yeah. All right. So you got the Steve Martin Short, and then you're going to Philly in one shot. All right.
Yeah. Very next morning. Yeah. Very next morning.
We have to talk sometime, not today, because we got the other stuff to get to. I actually really, and I don't mean to be, I hope it's not too raw or too insensitive. I really like reading memorials or obituaries, not because somebody's dead or it's morbid, but hearing and seeing what other people have gone through or succeeded at or overcome, I really, really find inspiring.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and there's tons of stuff I don't know. I had a buddy's father passed away, and I've known the guy. I knew the guy. Like, we grew up, we're like brothers. And it turns out his father was an aerospace engineer that worked on not the Apollo, but one of the other long-running space missions. And by the time I knew him, I just knew he was just like a successful consultant. I didn't know that he was consulting on aerospace engineering, and you're like, all this time. Or another guy passed this week, a husband of a lady that I know, and really successful guy. I'd known him not that well, but I knew this was a work colleague's spouse. So we saw each other holiday parties, or he would drop stuff off at the shop or whatever. I had no idea the guy lived in an orphanage for 2 years growing up. I didn't even know they had orphanages anymore. And you're like, I didn't,
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, I just think I'm like, anyway, that's a whole different topic. We'll get there someday.
Well, wait, because I don't mean to turn it on me, but it is funny how you don't, when you meet people, you don't really just say, you don't go and say, oh, this is my story of my struggles and trials. And
Hi, my name's Adam. From 4 to 6, I had a rough go. I was in an orphanage. But how's your day? You having a beer today, or what are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah,
you just don't know. Yeah.
There was something that happened over this past weekend, even talking with my stepkids, because I met them when they were 3 and 5. And really, I met these 2 children, and I'm not going to tell them my life story. They just know me as a guy, right?
Right. Chapter 1 of Joe. Here's what you're going to do. Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah.
So, and then they grow up and they just kind of know that you're there, and you have a relationship of your own. I realized that they know nothing of my past before I met them. And so I asked Aiden, and I was like, hey, do you know where I went to college? And he was like, no, I don't know. It's because it's not something that you go, well, let me teach you about my life.
Right.
Let me tell you about my life or whatever. And I was like, wow, okay. Do you know what I studied? And he was like, no, because we're talking about these things now where he's going to go and study something. He's going to, he wants to go to college, I think. And so I started to just ask him questions about that. And then I asked Raleigh, and Raleigh was like, and I was like, do you know what I did after, kind of like where I lived? And she's like, they have no clue. But and I've lived with both of them as their stepdad for many years, 13, 14 years. And even during that time, you just don't go, well, this is what I've experienced. This is what I've done. Let me tell you about you just don't do that,
So anyway, yeah, that's why I get it. That's why I like, I like is a weird word. I find benefit of reading. I always take if there's somebody I know, or even somebody I didn't really know, but they were special to a person that I know, I generally take the time to read an obituary. I find it fascinating. So
you don't find it depressing.
Yeah, I do, but it's I don't know. It's all sounds weird.
It's all of it.
It's all the feelings. Yeah, it's all of it. I loved this sounds really weird. One of the things I love doing in Savannah is going to that. There's a super old cemetery, and they used to put like odes or like a little snippet like on the gravestones. So like you could almost like snuff out like, oh, these two brothers were in a duel with these two brothers over here. And then you look at the date and you're like, oh, well, that one brother ended up winning the duel and the other three were dead because that one guy lived another 5 years and the other three all died on the same day. That old cemetery is phenomenal in Savannah. So anyway, cool. It's all kind of more stuff.
There is a question that's related to snake breeding, which is what temp sensors do you use? We should probably just
I know. Like I say, that's another show. We'll figure that out. So I use a company called Govee, Govee. And I like Govee because they have temperature sensors, but they also have smart outlets that you can program on and off for any time. So you can, like thermostats are always the big thing of what we use in reptile breeding. But if say seasonally, like I run supplemental heat down here. So instead of setting it to when a temperature gets to X degree, I know at a certain time of day when the sun goes down, the temps drop incredibly fast and sharply here in Minnesota. So I just plug the supplemental heat into one of these smart outlets, and then I can program it when it's on and when it's off. And one of the biggest challenges that this goes to the stress and creativity thing. One of the biggest challenges that I face is I can't be in 3 locations simultaneously. So I have to be able to keep an eye on things from afar. And it struck me the other day too, in all of this headache, how lucky I am that I live in today's day and age because with these sensors and with these cameras, because it actually does make it feasible that I could keep an eye on things and I don't have to wonder and I don't have to wake up with night terrors and drive, in the middle of the night to go check something out. I can just look on the dashboard and, they graph the temperature so I can see if there's anyway, it's all very helpful. Govee is what I use, and they have a whole line of smart things. I'm waiting for them. I hope it's got to be like I'm an okay smart man, but I meet other people that are geniuses. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a dumb compared to these people. Somebody there at Govee has got to figure out all these machines talk to each other. So how about when a temperature sensor says it gets to this, boom, it tells your smart outlet to kick on. And now you have a built-in de facto thermostat rather than having to spend, for a good thermostat, we'll spend north of $100 on for each rack kind of thing. And a lot of people use multiple thermostats per rack. So anyway, I have just like every great company loves when customers make suggestions. I've sent some suggestions to Govee's inbox from time to time.
Hey, let me ask you this. When you make the move over to the new place, when that's all built out and everything, where will you do your Thursday morning podcast? Are you going to go over to your space?
No, the Thursday morning is before the workday and Tuesday night is after the workday. So honestly, I'll probably keep it right here. I'm going to have this whole space down here. I don't know what I'm going to put down here. Like, I'm sure everybody's like making a man cave, but it's a white epoxy floor and white walls. Like it's like an asylum in here. Like this is like, I just need padded walls. I don't know. I might put like a little, I keep thinking I should have like a workout space or something, but I'm not going to work out. I don't think. So I don't know, but anyway, I'll record in here. So this idea of stress leading to creativity, a couple things led to this thought. So one being the challenges that we had on at the car wash this week, which I'm sure people are tired of hearing about the car wash. But on the other hand, it's kind of cool because I'm figuring out a facility that solves the problems that I need. And in Minnesota, those two biggest problems are floor drains and heated floors. Okay, got those check marks. I'll figure the rest out. I'm in the process of that. Jury's still out. But somebody else, I was doing I was talking to another friend, and he says, Adam, you've been at this for a handful of years now, and you've done it through kind of these tough times, market wise. Like, so there was this big COVID boom. Everybody was making a ton of money on ball pythons. And then all these breeders decided they were going to start breeding because it was this gold mine. And then, of course, what happens when a market gets flooded and things change, economics factors change, the market sort of crashed. And I've lived and survived through that time economically. And so my buddy says, what are you going to do when the next boom comes? And I go, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. But to be honest, it's not as exciting to me. Like, I learn more when it's a challenge. I learn more and I push myself harder when it's a challenge. And it's funny because in the challenges, I think I'll work harder than anybody else out there. But when times are really easy, somebody else actually might work harder than me. So, and I got thinking about that, and I was like, first, that's screwed up, Adam. You could just work hard and flatline it rather than, these crazy, overwhelming anxiety feelings. On the other hand, almost all of the, since 2005, I would say, since I started caring about this stuff, all the times that there's been either a recession or a sharp market dip or a housing crash, those are the times I've actually made the most. I'm not a rich man, but I could think of certain times where I'm like, oh, I afford how I live now and these opportunities I have now because of decisions I made in those downtimes. And it was being aggressive in the downtimes when everybody else was scattering and scurrying away. And that's kind of how I'm feeling like about the ball pythons. Like, I know maybe we don't want to boom. Maybe I don't need another, 4X of breeders flooding the market again and going back through that again, it's out. The other thing is it's out of my control. All I could do is control the little things day to day. But anyhow, that sparked this idea of distress. Is it at a catalyst for creativity? And second, do we need that? Do we need this crazy, like, hey, I need to get punched in the face every now and again, which is a foolish thing to think, but do we? Like, is that anyhow, that was the thought process for today's episode.
There's as you're speaking, there's this thing that I don't really know how to explain it because it sounds so stupid when I say it out loud. But there's you get more done when you're busy.
Deadlines, pressure, all the sayings. Pressure makes a diamond. I don't know. I don't know. Gonna rise like a phoenix. Like a phoenix got charred alive, got cooked.
It's like, but it seems so simple. Like the more that you work, the more that you get done. Is kind of what you can take from that. But what I mean is, when you're busy, you're almost like it jump starts you into a certain mode where you're doing things at a pace that you wouldn't normally do them if there weren't the necessity to do them.
So that's a really good, like from a true business standpoint, forget the philosophical, does Adam need stress? Forget that for a second. So like a real world example, and Sam, I see your question on thermostats. I'll give you my 2 cents here in just a second. A real world example. When I worked for Ruby Tuesday, which has long been a long way away, and they can, if they care, they can try and sue me for libel or whatever. But what would happen is every month or two, the big dog would be in town and everybody knew. So it was like, ooh, do good. Let's really polish the place up. Let's really look sharp. Let's really make sure that everybody's shaved and if they didn't iron their shirt, they don't work today. And that gets exhausting. And then I go from there to the PGA Tour, the flagship of the PGA Tour, where literally the commissioner ate lunch every day, where people are doing incredible business in there. It was Jim Furyk's home club. Tiger Woods could walk in, whatever. And it was, the standard is excellence every day. And that sounds more exhausting, but when you just make it a habit and a culture, you don't worry about that. And it's almost like, ooh, the commissioner's here. Come on in, versus he's here. Everybody, he's here. Radio 1, Radio 2, the eagle has landed. But, you're just like, this is what we do.
Right.
And I love, this is what we do. It's so much better. It's easy. It's not that hard to just do it right in the first place. When you have that mindset, you have that culture of people around you, you have that checklist and processes and systems. And that's a great example of, here was stress up, stress down, stress up, stress down, versus you just knew there were high expectations. And if it wasn't your place, out you go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I used the word jumpstart, which that's I haven't used in my thinking about this before, but in this conversation, there's like so when you don't have that standard, or when you don't have that sense of getting, you have to get things done, or that pressure that's on you, you can get into a lull where you go, I'll handle it this way this time, or I will, I don't really have to do too much to handle the things that are right in front of me. Whereas if there are 17, 18 different things that are monumental, that you're facing down, it'll jumpstart your brain to go, how am I going to handle all of this? And so you are going to, your mind is going to go, okay, let's figure out, like for example, right now, so this is the start of the year. It's our first quarter is incredibly busy. We took on a new firm so we have all of that. That's going to be super busy. I'm super stressed about that. And what that has done is it's made me actually step back and go, how are we going to do this? Instead of going, let's get it done, it makes me go, okay, how are we going to do this? Let's get creative about all of the different ways that this needs to get done, and then focus and get to it. Meanwhile, I'm teaching 3 courses at 2 different institutions, and for some reason I've decided to take a course, study a course. So I am so overwhelmed right now, but I have gotten more done in the past week than in any of the prior weeks, because I know that I need to figure out how to do all of these things because I've taken them on.
Isn't it? It's almost frustrating, but also enlightening. Like, we all hear these cliches. You could do anything you want. You'll make time for what's important for you. And as I'm reading this, is always times, if I have time to read, I'm not getting my head pushed underwater with stress, right? So I'm reading this and I'm like, I don't have time to do everything I want. And now I literally, the other day, when I was unclogging the drains, I got it done. I still got my other work done. And I actually had a moment of like, what was I doing with my time when I claimed I was busy? Because this is busy. And by the way, if Isa is your first name, this is one of the best puns ever. Fantastic way to work it in. If not, still good, but it'd be great if your first name was actually Isa. Isa says, give yourself a week. It'll take a week. Yourself a year. It'll take a year. Determined, we'll find a way. I don't know about a week and a year, although I think I agree. I remember when I first started so I'd run restaurants for a long time, but I'd never done weddings and banquets. And that's really a different skill. And I remember the vice president of the company, he was like, how's it going, Adam? And I'm like, I'm a little behind. He goes, well, what's going on? He was the vice president of food and beverage. And I told him, team is here, I got to get this done. I got this going on today and this and that. And it was the craziest thing. He goes, you scheduled everybody too early. I said, too early? Do you not hear the stress in my voice and the challenge? He goes, Adam, if you give a good team 2 hours or you give a good team 5 hours, they'll get the job done in either 2 hours or 5 hours, whatever you give them. And he goes, right. So now you're spending all day corralling these people that don't have to work that hard because mentally they have 5 hours and they're going to get the job done in 2 hours. But the 3 hours they're screwing around with. And so you've spent all this money, you've cost yourself stress. You're going to be pissed by the time they get to work versus speeding it up, cause a deadline. They'll come in focused. They know they have something to get done and they won't stop until it's done. And I was like, you're really not helping right now. This is crazy talk. I need to get this job done. And you're giving me some philosophy lecture that I need less time. And man, that rung in my head for years. Yeah. And I've decided he was correct. And of course there's a limit. I mean, you can't have certain jobs just aren't going to get done in 20 minutes, but again, he nailed it. If you have the right team and you have the right culture and you give them the tools and a reasonable chance to get something done with a little bit of pressure, you just focus on the work and you get it done and you're not pissed and you're not tired. You're not annoyed that you might be physically tired, but you're not annoyed that people aren't focused or working. It's getting done. So that's exactly right. I think there's a question about thermostats, parallel conversations going on. Yeah. Sam, I agree. Those Inkbirds for the value price is great. I've never had one fail. I don't know that they're inferior to the classic big ones. I know that their technology is really catching up. The really budget ones, like you say on Amazon, I can't remember what they're called. I have used them before, but they will fail on. I've had them fail. I've never had an Inkbird fail. I've never had a VE or a Herpstat fail. Doesn't mean they can't. But I've used Inkbird for about a year now on a couple of my racks. So,
are these specific sensors or thermostats for breeding?
Two of the brands, yes, they are. The Herpstat and the VE are.
Figured Herpstat.
Yeah, Herpstat, right? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And they're really finely tuned machines. Those are fantastic. Those are really the industry standard. I'm not affiliated with them. I'd be happy to be affiliated with them, but I'm not. Speaking of affiliations, we have to make sure we speak about that here in a minute. But Inkbird advertises itself for reptiles, but also plant growing. I've heard that's taken off in the recent years, indoor greenhouses and whatnot for a variety of pursuits. But if you need to germinate seeds, you want a very specific temperature to get the seeds up to germinate. So I know that growers use these thermostats as well, and so they're marketed towards that a little bit also. Oh wow, we got a vote for Inkbird above VE. I've never had VEs are like the pickup trucks. Like I've never had one fail. They're good. I can't dial them into the 10th of a degree, but I can dial them into the 1 degree. Oh yeah, microbrewing. Yeah, good point on that. Fermentation sciences for sure. The first time I ever saw like internet smart thermostats was at a winery where the guy could monitor exactly how active the yeast were. And he could chill the wine back down if the yeast were getting too active too fast. Mm-hmm. So I was blown. I was like, oh my God, this is the wave of the future. And now here I am on my own phone with it, So Joe, if the day ever comes, go ahead. What you got?
So I just want to, I do have a question about our topic.
Yeah.
And I know that we only have 10 minutes, but what is your response, and what has been your response when you are when you feel completely overwhelmed? And what what do you do? Like, how do you handle that? What do you do? What's your MO in those types of situations?
It's evolved a lot. This most recent one, make no mistake, there was a sense of panic when I thought that my, so saying the boiler goes down is one thing. How in Minnesota here, the industrial facilities, factories, supermarkets, office buildings, they heat with in-floor radiant heat. So what happens is these pipes are laid in the concrete and they thread back and forth across your whole floor. And the boiler pumps hot water through them consistently and constantly, and it slowly heats up your facility. Me being a kid from Florida, I know very little about this stuff, but I know that when water freezes in pipes, it's very bad. And if it's in concrete and it freezes and bursts, that is catastrophic. So I had about 7-8 hours of wondering, worrying, did my pipes freeze and burst in the concrete? Because if you have to bust up concrete, suddenly that extra car wash money is gone. Any safety net is gone. So I definitely was panicking then. How I deal with it is, I think, through what I've already gone through and life experience. I went through unwanted job changes. That's a nice way of saying getting fired unexpectedly. Like, I felt like a college football coach. Like, yeah, 12-win season. We don't like you, though. You're out of here. The boosters don't. Hey, here's a check. Bye-bye. Okay, well, I guess I was nice enough to get a check. Some other stressful moments. I had only one time, and this is not me being over dramatic or insensitive to anybody else that suffers from this, but only one time did I have a really physical anxiety, like, meltdown. I didn't say anything. I didn't speak to anybody. I got all my stuff and I walked right out of the building and I went right home. I didn't know, I had no intention of going back. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what the plan was. This was in a work situation, and that, and I had the whole, like, tunnel vision, blotchy blackout, it was probably an hour and a half. And I just stood up and I was like, okay, I think I'm all right. And I was like, all right, well, Adam, you can't quit. It's not real. You're going to go back. And nobody had noticed I was gone. Nobody knew that I had panicked, or I just walked back in like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But now, I have the life experience. I go to the ultra, control what you could control. Okay, let's say in the worst case, those pipes are burst. They're not going to be unburst because you worry more. They're not going to be more burst because you worry more. The damage is done if it's done. I was in Hell's Kitchen for, Tito, I could have used you, man. Tito is a Tradesman Exotics is exactly the right name for him. He's fantastic with all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so I go to, I really get that kind of that stoic point, and then I go, I'm not going to worry about it until somebody smarter than me tells me I need to worry about it. So the next morning, I get the pro in there, and I said, before we get into this boiler problem, how are my pipes? I could replace a boiler. It might be $2,000, but I can replace that. How are these pipes? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, I'm worried that the pipes froze and I'm going to bust out concrete. And he goes, and he kind of chuckles. He's like, these boilers are filled with glycol and antifreeze. There's no way your pipes will freeze.
Okay.
And that's like a microcosm of, if you truly can't do anything about it and you truly don't have the knowledge to worry about it, you got to kind of put it away. Now, I will say, contrary to what a lot of people probably assume based on my prior conversations, I did have a moment where I was like, man, I am going to have a beer today. And I really was like, if you have a beer, you're going to have 12 and you're not going to solve anything tomorrow, and you're not going to sleep well, and you're not going to be focused. And it was like, no beer, no drinks, no coping that way tonight. Put it out of your mind, get some good rest. You're going to need to be dialed in the morning to figure this out. You can do something, do what you can. And what I could control in that time was my own preparation for the next morning. So
there's I have two responses. One is like it's kind of cliche. It's just like buckle down, and re-up. And actually, there was similarly to what the story you just told. It's like I did something for my job this past week, and it was like 5 hours worth of work, right? And I mistakenly did something where I lost that data that I worked on for 5 hours.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was about 11 p.m. at night, and I wanted it for the next day. I didn't need it for the next day. I wanted it for the next day. And one of my pet peeves is wasting time.
Right. Yeah.
Doing work and then not having it go anywhere.
Yeah. You don't get that back. Right.
So I was so upset. Like I was so upset for about 15 minutes. And and then I thought, just go and redo the work. Just do it. And the other thing is, as I was working for that 5 hours, I was like, if I just would have done it this other way, maybe I could have done it better.
Oh, you got to edit it. You kind of had a second draft version of it. Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, just do it now, Joe. And I got the work done in 3 hours. So even in these moments that you feel are like a catastrophe, you're still learning. You're still going, okay, is there a different way of doing this where I can re-up? And that's one of the so that was one of a small version of just buckle down and get it done, but do it better than you did before. So that's one thing. And then also I can shut down. I can really just shut down. And I go, it's just too much. I go, and now I don't usually do that, but there are moments where I go, I need a break. I need to regroup. I need to get my head in order. And those are really the moments when I take that time that I figure out what extra stuff I have in my life that I don't really need.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's blocking it all out? Yeah. Tuesday, you mentioned at the very top of the show, I didn't do the show on Tuesday night. For only the second time in about 3.5 years, I got to that point and said, I need to focus on this. I would rather be upfront and not put out a product than put out a crap product that I don't really care about. And, I'd rather do an extra episode for the sponsors and make it up to them. And it's not like I do that on a whim. My record speaks for itself. And it was great because the second I realized that, and I could, I just put out an Instagram reel and explained it. And I'm sure not everybody saw it. And a few people checked in on me, which was pretty cool. They're like, you must be in hell if you're not doing your show. I'm like, yeah, well, I am, but I'm okay because I'm not going to do my show and I can focus on this. And honestly, it felt not okay. It felt really good to say, I got the boiler fixed. I was upfront with the consumers. I'll put out a great show next week. I'm scheduled weeks out. I'm actually ahead now. And it's kind of like what you're talking about, where you're just like, you can shut down, but then you got to have a plan to get out of it. And I was like, all right, the plan out is good. I just can't, what am I going to do? The show inside the boiler room? I guess that would have been dramatic, but that's not really dialed in or providing content. That's just a gimmick, And I was like, this isn't right. So yeah, you communicate and you go on and you handle what you can handle. And the cool thing too is like looking back, I'll learn for the future, being really transparent. It cost me $120 for the service call. I lost, I don't know, probably 3 days of revenue, but that was in single digits. Like of any time to be losing revenue, that was the time to do it. And to learn hard lessons where I just needed operating cash on hand, which turned out to only be $120. I thought I was going to be buying a new boiler. It's at a time when I have that sort of operating initial investment. I'm not going to call it a slush fund, but extra money in the bank to handle it. Mm-hmm. And now I understand all this. And now I've learned that I have this institutional knowledge. Like it's not that bad. So remembering that, being like, hey, the last time I felt this panicked, it was just, in the future, I'll be like, it was just fine. Go through the motions. And I will say that was part of why I bought that business. You have a boiler, you have a heater, you have 4 pumps, you have hoses, and you have a change machine. That's not that many variables compared to most things that you could take on. And it's all mechanical as well. So I'm not a great mechanic, but I could kind of figure things out or work with people that can figure them out. So that's how I tie that all together. Joe, if you had reptiles and you wanted to track the data, how do you think you would do that? What would be your best number one choice to do that?
Well, it would be Husbandry.pro.
It would be Husbandry.pro. That's what any sane person would say. It's fantastic, guys. You can track your data. You can plan your breeding cycles. You can plan cleaning, processes, systems, data, all in one place, all transferable, all with scanners, QR codes, digital, your, piles of notes. I regret to say it, but there are times when people are like, hey, what was the pairing on this? And I could tell them the pairing, but I can't tell them like the parents pairing or like generations back, because I'm like, look, those are just in my paper days when I had it on clipboards and piles and it's in a box somewhere, whereas everything is just, it's a mobile app. It's on a desktop app. You can work on all of it, So anyway, check out P-Royal. Use the promo code P-Royal60. Get yourself 60 free days. You don't even have to put in a credit card. You get right to work on it. Check it out. If you're into feeding frozen, which I often do, I do breed a lot of ASFs, but I like feeding frozen rats when my animals will take them, which almost all of my adults do. Use the good folks at Cold Blooded Cafe. I didn't want to call anybody out, but as a compliment, talk about stress and creativity. This storm going through the central part of the United States has really, really thrown off shipping. And when you're dealing with frozen rodents, shipping, you want them fresh. They got through it. They coordinated with, there's a great reel that Cold Blooded posted yesterday of UPS and FedEx semi-trailers arriving it was like the cavalry coming in, and the forklifts started loading all the orders. So those went out yesterday. If you're waiting on your order from Cold Blooded Cafe, they did leave last night. You should be getting them by the end of the week so you can feed your animals in due time. So big thanks to them. Use the promo code proper11 if you would like to save 11% on your next order from Cold Blooded Cafe. Reagan Renee, Royal Pythons, the winner of 15 minutes of lame. Go check out Charlie's offerings on Morph Market, Puzzle, Clown, Zebra, DG, Krypton. He's got ingredients for triples and quads on Morph Market right now. Great guy to do business with. Great guy that I respect. Genuinely one of the smartest people that I've interacted with in this industry. And that all translates into his operation and how he treats his animals and the animals that he produces. So I think you should check him out. And last but not least is Keith at Kreative Genetics. He and I worked on a clown axanthic project this year. We've got some clown axanthic hypo triple hets still available, females, if you're interested in those. He himself has a lot of things in the yellow belly complex project, stranger, and pied clown axanthic and hypo combos and doubles, triples, and I don't think he has quad ingredients just yet. So go check out Keith. It's been great to work with him, and he's a great guy that I highly recommend as well. Joe, you got a fun week coming up, man. I was going to ask what you're getting into, but you're getting into everything this week, huh?
Yeah. I got my classes starting. I got the class that I'm going to take on Tuesday nights. So that's coming up. I got my classes starting that I'm teaching, and then I'm going out of town. I'm going home for the night and, seeing some family and stuff. So that'll be great. And then Marty and Steve I call them Marty and Steve.
You're good buddies. You've been there. You've been through the trenches. You go way back. You know them.
Yeah. So that'll be Friday. How about you?
I have to think this through. Yeah. I'm going to do some work, but I'm excited. Today we're going to warm up to around 30, and I will tell you, there's a magic thing that happens when the sun's out and the temperature gets to about 24 or 25. even in my short experience, people get real optimistic and they come wash their cars, man. I got to recoup some of this money, baby. I need those quarters. Give me that jingle. You know what I mean? So that's, I'm going to keep an eye on that, try and stay in business for the weekend. And then, no, I think
have you met any of your customers from the car wash?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty cool. Actually. They're, talk about all walks of life. And it's funny. They hear that I bought it and they're like, don't close it. It's amazing how much they care about it. I would have never thought.
Really?
Yeah. I would have never thought they really love it. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm your man. And I tell them, I'm like, that one bay is going to become a private workshop, but these other two will stay open. And it's funny because almost to a person, they're like, oh yeah, you don't need 3 here. You got your 2 in your outside bay. I'm like, it's all right. Perfect.
Good.
So, yeah, and I'm going to go hang out with one of my breeder friend mentors in town on Saturday. I get to do that. And I don't know, probably watch some football on Sunday. I got a little college football playoff tonight. And I'm going to cook myself a ribeye tomorrow night. It's ribeye Friday, right? Ribeye Friday, man. And when I'm not stressed and I'm relaxing, eating some ribeye Friday, I'll probably have a little glass of Cabernet with it, you know, end the week, right? So that's what I got going on.
Are you still doing your push-ups?
Inconsistently, but I did 300 rows on a rowing machine as well, which I'm debating whether I enjoy it or not. We'll see so I'm working on it, thinking hard about it.
Good.
I could definitely, we're 9 days in. I can definitely do 9 today. That's for sure. I will take care of 9 today. So, hey, Joe, travel safe, man. Sorry you're traveling under those conditions, but condolences to you and the family and all of that. And travel safe. I hope it's a fun weekend with your boys, Marty and Steve.
Yeah.
You should be the one amigo and be like, good evening, my name's Chevy. And, then you'll complete the ensemble.
That's funny. Yes. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, Joe.
I don't think Chelsea's going to be on board with that. So.
Well, it's better than you asking her to dress up with you.
Yes.
All right. Cheers, man. Audience. We'll be back next week. No more cancellations, for a year or two. And Joe, thank you so much, man. Have a great week.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.